came out of a podcast interview that I did today. It was a lot of fun, and I need to talk about that. I had a chance to have a guest, and that interview will be out toward the end of January. But here's the thing: it made me wonder about this question: when is it going to happen? Well, what is it? Well, we all want to be happy, right? We want to feel joyful. We want to feel like we're doing something that matters and feel like that, now. And at the same time, we look at how difficult it is to get really good at something. So Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book and popularized the 10,000 hour criteria. And that number actually came from a book called Peak by Anders Ericsson. And in the book Peak, Anders Ericsson talks about the studies that he did and how Malcolm Gladwell used those studies and created the 10,000 hours and so forth. But he also talks about what it really takes to get good at something. And there's all kinds of practice. So we've all heard practice makes perfect, and then we've heard people argue with that. Well, no, perfect practice makes perfect. And if you practice something not good, why, that won't be perfect. And I use this picture behind me today. It's kind of a creative picture about the universe. I found it, with the keywords universe and creation and so forth. But whatever you're creating, whatever it is, let's say you're creating more money. Like we've had this pandemic now for going on 3 years. I mean, we're in December. In March, it'll be 3 years, and we're coming out of it, whatever that means. But there's upsurges, and I still see people wearing masks in airports and at church and different places, and people do whatever they're comfortable with, and they should. It makes me wonder, what is the key to getting to the goal line of anything? If you want to make something happen in your life, I have a lot of clients who want to write a book, or who want to create a product, or who want to make their business grow, or who just want to stop being overwhelmed, or who just want to be happy. The happiness quotient. There was a guy who wrote a book called The Happiness Equation, Neil Pasricha, and if you haven't read that book, it's interesting. And I saw him speak at a BNI annual event that I was at, and he talked about, we have, you do things, and then you have things, and then you be something. So if I do a lot of stuff, then I'll have position and power, and then I'll be happy. And he proposed that that was backwards, that if we chose today to be happy, then because we're happy, we will do things, because when you're happy, you want to do things. And when you do things, then stuff gets created. So he suggested it was backwards. Be, do, have, instead of do, have, be. And so I want to explore that, because when will it happen is a question that has been a struggle for me. As I've created a coaching practice, as I've tried to finish books, and as I do work in the studio, and I've worked on my voice to sing, I've had all kinds of struggles and barriers and feelings like I'm never going to make it. It's not good enough. I won't finish this book. I won't finish that project. Over and over again, I've had that feeling. I don't know. Can you relate? Have you had the feeling of I'll never get there, I'll never get done? The project that I'm trying to do, whether it's a little project like paint the room, or a big project like buy the house I want, or a bigger project like create the life that I want. Have you ever felt like I'll never get there? It's not meant for me. Well, I want to take that apart, and I want to go do it in the reverse order. Because this road to 50 million, this whole thing that I'm doing because I said so. And what I mean by that isn't sarcastic at all. I declared that I want to do something this year, and my year goes from October 14th to October 14th. So we're 7 weeks in the year, and I said, well, this year I want to somehow reach you, 50 million of you. I want to somehow reach 50 million people and help you to discover your own sacred gifts, and then learn or choose to serve with those gifts. Now, I had several interviews today. One was with a fellow who's done a lot of music, and his music was good. He has a song called Rachel's Song, and look that up. It's a beautiful piano piece with some other orchestrations. And that one was so successful that he did more songs, and now he has a whole bunch of albums. Some are religious, some spiritual kinds of things, and some are his own compositions. And he's got 14 albums, and he's now sells a bunch of them. He sells the sheet music, and he now makes a living from this music, and he has for a long time. So he told me the story, and it was interesting. In 1981, which is now 40 years ago, he wrote this song, and he said it just came to him. He had a piano, and the picture in the background was a beautiful piano. In fact, he told me what it was. It was a Steinway Model B, which is a 6'7" Steinway. It's a magnificent instrument and fabulous. And I loved it. And he told me the story about getting it, and he said he could buy it because he was able to quit the job that he had, which was working for AT&T at the time, and make his living doing two things. He made his living using his gifts, which was music, but he made his living making people happy. You know what he told me? He told me he had 50,000 letters from people. Now think about that. Letters that come in the mail, right? 50,000 letters that come in the mail from people telling him how much that song touched him. The song doesn't have words. I listened to it afterwards, and it's beautiful. And it is a song that is plaintive. It's beautiful. It's encouraging. It's been used for weddings and funerals and all kinds of other things because it doesn't have words. And so it allows the person listening to it to project onto it whatever they want. And so he created that. And then now, just last year, he wrote a book called Let the Music Touch You. But the bottom line is he wrote that in 1981 for his goddaughter. And a few years later, in 86, I think, he said his wife, who I was just blown away. He's been married to for 53 years. My hat's off to him. My heart swelled up with him. That's a magnificent accomplishment. And it was clear from the way he described that relationship that it was powerful, that it was meaningful, that it was not empty, not two people living in the same house, that kind of stuff. So his story was beautiful. In 86, he recorded it, or he had someone record it. He lives in North Carolina, so of course he went to Nashville, which is close by. And it was beautiful. And then he went on to say, he did a whole bunch more songs. But the point of the story wasn't that he did songs. The point is he listened to the intuition and used his gift. And from that gift, he was able to make people happy, lift and bless people's lives, and make a living. So in 1992, I think, which is now 20 years ago, he quit his job. Now, he was 75 today, or just a little while ago. And so that means 20 years ago, when he was 55, he quit his job. But he spent the last 20 years using this music, making more music, and lifting and blessing people's lives. So I know, I talked to him, but I talked to a whole bunch of people like him. I talked to another lady today who's in Australia, and she had a finish line. She had a bout with cancer, and she was, not going to die from it. She said she wasn't, so she did the surgery and did things that she needed to do. But the main thing was she connected with her gifts, trusted her spirituality, cleaned out her life of toxic things, people, habits, food, and everything else. And that let her and lets her today, again, create good in the world. So this road to 50 million is all about one thing. It's all about adding good to the world. Now, me and you, we breathe, right? And when we breathe, we add carbon dioxide to the air. Well, we also have a choice about what else we add. And this is something I have to remember all day, every day. I have to do this on purpose. So if it seems hard, that's okay. Allow it to be hard, but still make it a choice. The phrase I use is add good to the world. Now that's simple. What does it mean? Well, I have a choice. Every time I open my mouth, every time I look at someone or something, every time I interact with someone, whether it's online or in person, or my wife, or the people that are here in the house, how am I going to do that interaction? Am I going to do it in a way that elevates people's hearts and minds? Am I going to smile and broadcast love? Or am I going to just let it be whatever it is? That is a choice that you and I get to make every day. So helping you, each one of you, 50 million, make a choice to identify the gifts that you have and then use those gifts to serve is what this road to 50 million is about. And it was interesting that fellow, the piano, the music guy, he talked about finding your gifts. I asked him toward the end, what's the most important final message? And he said lots of important things. And both those podcasts will be out somewhere near the end of January. But I asked him, what's the most important final thing you want to leave? And he looked at me very seriously. He said, I want people to realize they can find their gifts. So that means I don't care if you're a busy mother of young children or a busy father of young children. I don't care if you're having trouble finding employment. I don't care if you're in a bit of economic turmoil because of the pandemic or because jobs have changed. I don't care if you have a health challenge that's very distracting and demanding. Here's what I know, and I know it from my own experience through health and wealth and all kinds of personal challenges. And I also know it from all the beautiful people just like you that I've been able to talk to on my podcasts. I know it from all of those people that even in those circumstances, we can choose to be happy. So the name of this episode, When Will It Happen, is a bit of a almost a trick question because it happens the minute you decide. I want you to think about that. The deepest yearning that we all have is we want to be happy. We want to feel happy, like we're doing something good and what we do matters. We all want to feel like, of course we do. We all have a yearning to serve and to love. And we want to feel that. And my plea to you is to realize you can have that today. You don't have to wait until. So I talked about that with both my guests today. And I said, hey, so is being happy or being fulfilled, is that something I'll be happy when I make more money, I get the next promotion, I get over this illness, is it out there? I'll be happy when? And both of them emphatically said, no, you can be happy today because happiness is an inside job. It is a choice. And that's why in my own personal declaration statement, I say, I am unconditional joy. Now, my wife's named Joy, and so that's kind of fun, but I say, I am unconditional joy. And then my work is to figure out how to live in that declaration, to live into that truth. And that means searching for my gifts. It means making choices in every interaction to use them. It means loving you right here, right now. It means encouraging you as a divine being to find your gifts and to serve the person right next to you, in your family, a friend, a stranger. Making that choice is a blessing. And you'll never know where it goes. I guess got a message from a client today who's been engaged this last weekend in some spectacular career-making events that he's doing, and he was just overflowing with success and excitement and everything else. And he didn't go to that event knowing what to do or with a checklist of things. He went there to be good, to add good to the world, to be a source of creativity and to help people realize their dreams. And in that process, he just did what came to him and went with the flow, so to speak. And I don't mean do whatever everybody else is doing. I mean follow the intuitions and flow of your heart. Now, the final thing I want to say before I issue my 3 invitations today is this. The best way I know to connect, find your gifts and to connect with the divine, your higher self, is meditation. And that just means slow down and be with yourself every day, all the time, on purpose. Slow down and be with yourself. So I asked one of my guests, so how do you help clients slow down and hear this intuition? Because we've been talking about that intuition stuff. Do you do meditation? And she said, no, I can't sit still. I can't sit still with myself. And then it was fun because she proceeded to tell me, well, she has a morning ritual, and part of her morning ritual includes nearly an hour where she is in an infrared sauna, light source, because in her body cleansing and everything else. And I don't know a lot about this. I have another client in Australia that talks about this infrared light thing, and so she then told me that when she's in there, it's 55 minutes, I think. She's able to read or just be quiet and be still. And I thought, she's not calling it meditation, but she has time because she went on to list. There's no interruptions, no phone, nobody bothers me, nobody comes. And everywhere else in her life, in her house, kids, phones, people, etc. So every day she has nearly an hour where she has created time to cleanse not only her body from toxins through whatever combination of light that is. And like I said, I don't know anything about it, so I'm not saying anything, something to do with infrared light. But she also has time to calm and cleanse her heart and mind and hear instructions and intuition for the day. So I thought that was beautiful. She was doing it and not calling it even that, but listed the benefits just exactly like I've said. All right, so here's my 3 invitations that are the same every time. This road to 50 million is my commitment for this year. 6 weeks old, I'm going to reach 50 million people. My method is this daily invitation. My method is YouTube videos. My method is television program. My method is podcast. Your Ultimate Life is the name of the podcast, Your Ultimate Life. I'd invite you to listen, not because it's my podcast and yay me, but because it's offered to you to invite you to have encouragement, to find your gifts and to live into them. I would invite you to share it. So here's my 3 invitations. 1, if you're already living your ultimate life, your life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, or whatever words you'd use, I'd love to hear from you because I want to talk to you. I love to get acquainted with, get better acquainted with, and know people that are living like that. The second thing, and maybe you'll want to do a podcast, and maybe episode with me, maybe you won't, but I just love to get to know you. The second thing is my goal is to help because I've been through my journey in battles like we all have, but now I've come to a place where I live and I am unconditional joy. So I would invite you, if you're struggling, to find the help you need. It could be I podcasts, I books, maybe it has nothing to do with me. But I'm encouraging you to remember and to feel into your own divine being, find your gifts and to serve with them, because when we serve, we have the greatest joy. So that's my second invitation. If you're already doing that, I want to hear from you because I love knowing people that are living that way. Number 2, if you're struggling to find your gifts and to serve with them, reach out and let's see what we can do. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And third, getting to 50 million is going to be a difficult thing. Maybe it's just going to happen automatically, naturally. So I've put it out there with full intent and no question about getting there. But I'm also cognizant that it'll get there faster and maybe we'll blow by it if I have help. So if you want to help me reach my 50 million, I'd love to have your help and talk about what we might do together. Thank you. Bless you. I love every good thing that you're doing, and I'll see you tomorrow.